ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Today we are going to see Shiva Shadakshara Stotram, which is on 75, page number 75 in the book of hymns. This is exactly similar to that of the Shiva Panchakshara Stotram. As I said yesterday, Pancha Akshara Namah Shivaya. But when you add Om, the Pranava mantra, before it, it becomes Shad Akshara, the six names or 6-letter name of Lord Shiva. Actually, it is not. Representative of the Supreme Absolute Brahman. Om iti Brahma, Om iti Idagam Sarvam. Om iti Brahma. Brahman is symbolically represented by this single syllable known as Om. As you all know, those who have studied Vedanta will surely know, it is constituent of 3 letters or the sounds A, U and Ma. A, U, M in English. A is the sound you produce when you open the mouth. U is the sound when you are not closing but you are about to close the mouth. That sound is U. That's a middle sound. And when you close the mouth, the sound is So it is said, Akaro vai sarvo vak. Every word, every sound starts with A. U in the middle and is the end. So together it becomes Om. It's called Pranava. It is known as that which is the word symbol of Brahman. Gurudev calls it as the X factor. X factor in the sense that that which is unknown in math, we call it as X. Because the value of X is not known until you arrive at the value through applying certain formula. In the same way, Om is the X factor of the unknown Brahman. But any such mathematical theory, taking X for granted and applying various values, finally you arrive at the correct value. In the same way, Brahman the unknown is to be taken as The absolute, present, all-pervading real truths, all-pervading reality, based upon that faith, the belief a yogi meditates upon and eventually reaches and merges into that Om. So we'll see the first verse, it talks about this. Omkaram bindu samyuktam nityam dhyayanti yoginah kamadam mokshadam chaiva Omkaraya namo namaha. Omkaram bindu samyuktam nityam dhyayanti yoginah kamadam mokshadam chaiva Omkaraya namo namaha. Omkara, the single syllable made of A, U and Ma. Omkaram and the Ardha Chandra with a dot which completes that symbolism. Bindu Samyuktam along with the Bindu. This Yoginaha Nityam Dhyayanti. Yoginaha, men of contemplation, men of meditation, Yogin. Yoginaha Nityam, always, at all times, Dhyayanti, they meditate upon. So Lord Shiva is meditated as the very symbol represented by the Om, and which is Kamadam, Kamam Dadati, whatever one desires, it gives, meaning it bestows the ability for an individual to accomplish what one desires. And also moksha, the liberation, the freedom, mokshadam, the one which is giver of the freedom also, kamadam mokshadam cha eva omkaram. That, to that omkara, omkaraya namo namaha, the salutations. As I said, that it is the belief of the yogi that there is this absolute reality which is the ultimate goal of human existence. That very belief is the starting point for meditation. Many people think meditation is where one sits down and thinks about nothing, keeping mind blank. It is not possible to keep the mind blank always, at all times, because nityam dhyayanti. For a few minutes, one can keep one's mind blank. Some people practice meditation looking at an empty wall, etc. But then, that cannot be a constant practice. Nityam dhyayanti, when it is said, what it means is that yogis, when they sit for meditation, they recognize that A, U and Ma, representing waking, dream and deep sleep states which we go through every day, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. And all these three states which we go through are none other than the three different expressions of the one reality only. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, Sputara, Ya Samvidujrumbate, Ya Brahmadi Pipilikanta Tanushu Prota Jagat Sakshini. In Manisha Panchakam, Shankaracharya says, that which is there present, throbbing continuously in the three states of experiences, Jagra, Swapna, Susupta, Sputatara, clearly. Ya Sambit, that consciousness, Ujrumbade, throbs, vibrating. Ya, that which is Brahmadi, from the Brahma onwards, Pipilika Anta Tanushu, till the small ant, Prota, Jagat Sakshini, present there, witnessing the entire universe. Sa eva aham, that alone am I. Nacha drishya vastu, not what is seen as the matter world, including this physical body. I am not this. Iti Dhridaprajna yasyasti chet, one who has this clear conviction, Chandalostu sadudvijostu gururityesha manisha mama. Whatever be the status of that individual, Chandalaha or Brahmanaha, such is the Guru, such is the yogi, such is the man of contemplation. Omkaram bindu samyuktam, the Om with that Ardhachandra and the Bindu, Nityam, always Dhyayanti, because so always means it is not sitting in meditation, but in the meditative mind. Mind in meditation, not a formal sitting in one corner, closing the eyes, etc. Why? Because Nitya meditate always, which means always aware of the fact that that very Brahman is symbolically represented by Om is the one constantly present as a witness and not an experiencer. Witness of all experiences which I go through in the waking state, dream and deep sleep, that alone am I. In this way they meditate upon. To such people, Kamadam Mokshadam, the one which is giving all the desires and finally the freedom as well. To that Omkara, which is Omkara Swarupa, is Bhagavan Shiva. Omkaraya Namo Namaha. So among the 6 letters, first one is Om. To that Omkara Swarupa Bhagavan Maheshwara, to him Maheshwaraya Omkaraya Namo Namaha, my salutations. Continuing that, the next verse says, Namanti rishayo devaha namantyapsarasam ganaha nara namanti devesham nakaraya namo namaha. Namanti rishayo devaha namantyapsarasam ganaha nara namanti devesham Nakaraya Namo Namaha. Rishayah Devaha Namanti, Apsarasam Ganaha Namanti, Devesham Naraha Namanti, Nakaraya Namo Namaha. Interesting. Here all of them are saluting the Lord. Rishayah Namanti. The very word Rishi means one who has vision. People who have, no, we also have vision. That's not what we mean here. The vision of life, the vision of existence, the vision of the soul. We only see what is presented in front of us. We see what is seen by the senses. That's what we see as the world. A person who has the ability to think, he will see the future. In the sense, he can visualize the future. So there are great CEOs and big visionaries of organizations or big industries, etc. They have the vision about where this organization is going, where it should go. I can visualize this. An artist, for example, he can visualize pictures which he is going to paint. But the visualization is considered as a very gift itself. But the rishis are those, they have the vision of the soul. I am not this physical body alone. I am the soul which is eternal, existing in this physical body, and this physical body is going to wither away, die. But the vision of the soul is that I am not subject to death. I am constantly undertaking a journey towards my own fulfillment beyond physical body's birth and death. This vision, those who have, They are called the Rishis. Those Rishis namanti devesham. Why? Because it is that Bhagavan Shiva is their own goal. The soul, just like the river that is born out of the mountain, flowing down, finally reaches the ocean. That is its destination. So also the Rishis know the souls have their final destination in the Bhagavan only. All souls have to reach him only. Earlier, the better. Slow, if you go, you have to go through all the samsaric experiences, suffer sorrows and delusions and all anxieties and anguishes, everything one has to go through. And then it takes so long a time to finally reach its destination. Whereas Rishis are constantly aware that that is my goal, that is my destination, I have to reach there. Therefore, that very goal which they have as their destination, they visualize that as Bhagavan Shiva, the one who is absorbed in his own self. Namanti Rishayo Devaha, and also the Devadas, denizens in the heaven. Namanti Apsarasam Ganaha. Also those Apsarasas, those who are the damsels in the heavens, those who are dancing beauties in the heaven, they also salute. And also Nara Namanti, even human beings, they salute for a different purpose. The Rishis salute because they have the vision of the fact that Lord is our destination. Devatas, they salute to the same Lord because he is a Devesha, he is the leader of all the Devas, therefore they salute. Apsarasam Ganaha, they salute because it is their master to whom they dance, to entertain, therefore they salute. Naraha Namanti, because he fulfills their desires. After all, Naraha, an individual human, is very limited vision. He only wants or she only wants immediate fulfillment of desires and pleasures and worldly things. They also salute. But the Lord is the same. But according to your salutation, with which purpose you are saluting, so will be the accomplishment of it. So Rishayaha Namanti, Devaha Namanti, Apsarasam Ganaha Namanti, Naraha Abhinamanti. That Lord, accordingly he will bestow the grace. Nara Namanti Devesham, Nakaraya Namo Namaha. One who is represented by the letter Na, to that Lord Shiva, my salutations. Nakaraya Namo Namaha. Continuing. Mahadevam Mahatmanam Mahadhyana Parayanam Mahapapaharam Devam Makaraya Namo Namaha. Mahadevam Mahatmanam Mahadhyana Parayanam Mahapapaharam Devam Makaraya Namo Namaha. Mahadevam, the one who is Mahadeva, the one who is the Lord of all gods there, Deva is called, the great Lord. Mahadev, Mahatmanam, one who is the great soul, Mahadhyana Parayanam, and also he is Mahadhyana Parayanam. The Parayanam is the ultimate goal and can be reached by Mahadhyanam, na Alpadhyanam ityartha, not by simple meditation, intense meditation. And Mahapapaharam Devam, he is the one who is the remover of the greatest of the possible sins if one commits. Makaraya Namo Namaha, one who is in the form of the letter Ma, to that Lord my salutations. Now what does it mean, Mahadeva? Mahadeva means one who has the lordship over all other gods. It's called Mahadeva. Deva, Div in Sanskrit means to illumine. And Devas are those illumined ones because they are powers. They exist as powers. Surya is a Devata. Chandrama is a Devata. Agni is a Devata. Vayu is a Devata. Varuna, water is a Devata. Why they are called Devatas? They are the presiding deities of certain powers. Sorry. For example, my eyes can see things only when there is light. My skin can feel only when there is air. My tongue can taste only when there is water. So water is the power because of which tasting is possible. Sunlight is a power because of which seeing is possible. Air is a power through which I can feel. So these powers, if they are absent, I cannot have experiences in this world. Surya Devata is considered as the deity for intellect also. As much as the moon is considered as the deity for the mind. Agni is a deity for the speech. If the Agni is not there in an individual, the fire element is not there, the speech won't be there. So therefore, a person who has a lot of fire in his speech, fiery speech. So these deities are the powers. But these powers can cohesively work only when there is a supreme power to whom they report to. That supreme power, Ishvaraha, is referred here as Mahadeva. All the Devatas function, but their powers are integrated together and they are reporting to the highest power, and that power to which they report is the Ishvaraha, the controller, or Mahadeva. Mahadevam, Mahatmanam. One, he is a great soul because, in our Vedanta we say, individual souls we are all, right? Individual minds. I think and I do whatever I do. You think and you do whatever you do. And she thinks and she does whatever she does. But even though we are thinking ourselves as independent entities, that we are doing all these things ourselves, but understand one thing, there is a great plan. And we are all part of the great plan. What I do surely directly or indirectly affects you, and what you do directly or indirectly affects me. Just like an example, when you make curd, yogurt or curd, you just put the fermented milk into a fresh milk. After some time, there is a reaction takes place, and next day morning, if the weather condition is good, warm, you get yogurt or curd. Is it not that yogurt that is there is a plan? For whom? I wanted it to happen, and I made sure that this is mixed with that, and then the bacteria are there, and then finally I get a yogurt. Just like my activity is based upon what is already available. I didn't create those bacteria. What do we call it as a culture, yogurt culture? I didn't create it. It is already there. I am making use of what is already there for my particular purpose. So also in this world, all the jivas have their roles to play, and each one helping each other. They are not independent, they are interdependent. We are able to exist. If I am able to have rice on my plate, it is not I made the rice possible. I don't know how many unknown people are involved in making that rice available to me on my plate in my dining table. No doubt I paid the money for that rice, but the rice is not because of the money I paid, but so many people have worked to make that happen. Is it not invisibly? So many people are there helping me to have this food. In the same way, every action that we do, is connected to every action others do, and totally the cosmos works. And the one who is making everything make it work is the highest soul, and that is one is referred as Maha Atmanam. Atman. Mahatman, when you say the greatest soul, meaning the supreme soul which is making everything possible. To that supreme soul, Mahatmanam. And to understand, realize that supreme reality, the soul, is not by simple thinking. It is not some one day I worshipped here, one day I meditation, one day I did the puja. No. Mahadhyanam Parayanam. Parayanam. It is the supreme goal of human life, and that is possible only by Mahadhyanam. One has to engage in intense meditation to understand and realize that supreme truth. Mahadhyanam Parayanam Mahapapaharam Devam. He the one meditating upon whom even the greatest sin that one can commit can also be forgiven, can also be taken care. That's Mahapapaharam, remover of the highest sin. And according to our scriptures, the highest sin is killing a Brahmana who has studied Vedas. That is considered as the highest Brahmana Hatya. Brahma Hatya it's called. That even the killing of a Brahmana who has been pursuing the study of Vedas to achieve Brahma Jnanam, that is considered as the highest. Even that highest sin can be removed by the meditation upon this Lord, who is now represented by the letter Ma. That is a third one. Makaraya Namo Namaha. Mahadevam Mahatmanam Mahadhyana Parayanam Mahapapaharam Devam Makaraya Namo Namaha. Next one. Shivam Shantam Jagannatham Lokanugraha Karakam Shivamekapadam Nityam Shikaraya Namo Namaha. Shivam Shantam Jagannatham Lokanugraha Karakam Shivamekapadam Nityam Shikaraya Namo Namaha. Shivam, that which is most auspicious. Shantam, peaceful, serene. Jagannatham, Jagatahanatham, the Lord of the world. Loka Anugraha Karakam, he who is the one who gives grace to the entire world. Shivam Ekapadam, and at the same time he is the only Padam, only support, only substratum. Nityam, eternal. Shikaraya Namo Namaha, represented by the letter Shi. Shivam Shantam Jagannatham Lokanugraha Karakam Shivamekapadam Nityam Shikaraya Namo Namaha. Shivam, as I explained yesterday also, the auspicious presence. Shivam Shantam Satyam Shivam Sundaram. When we say Satyam is that which is true, doesn't change any time. That is called Satyam. And that which doesn't change any time, it is always the same, is referred as Shivam, auspicious. Auspicious is that which does not get influenced by anything else. So that which is truth at all times, that alone can be considered as the most auspicious. Why auspicious? Because you can depend on that. See, the auspiciousness is not just worthy of worship, but worthy of dependence. if there is something you are always able to depend upon, it is the one support for you. You just cannot go wrong with that. Like for example, do you have ever any time, do you have any doubt whether there will be air for you to breathe? Do you? Is it not that you take it for granted at any time that when I wake up next day morning, there will be air for me to breathe? So breathing that takes place, you take it for granted that I have no doubt about it. It is always dependable. I will breathe. There will be air for me to breathe. I'm not sure about the water and other things nowadays. There is a scarcity of basic things in life. It's a question of time. Even the air will also be polluted. We will not be able to even breathe. But presently, that is not the condition. Air is there. So what is that which is auspicious? Auspiciousness is that which is always there. And that's why it is called Satyam Shivam. That which is always there and you can never doubt it and you can always depend upon. That is called Shivam. Sundaram. And that which is always there, which you can always depend upon, which is ever present at the same time, it never changes, is the most beautiful. Is it not when you go to some beautiful sceneries, Himalayan mountains, Alps, and ocean, or the snowy peaks, when you see, you feel so light, so elevated. Why it is so? Why it is beautiful? A beauty is because untouched, unpolluted, and it is something which reminds us about that great hand of the Lord. He created it. It is not human creation. It is there. And when you see it, you are reminded of that beauty of the Lord. By looking at the beauty of the nature around you, you are able to appreciate the beautiful hand of the Lord. Therefore, that which is true, that which you can always depend upon, is that which is untouched, uncreated, uncaused, and that is most beautiful. Satyam Shivam Sundaram. And when you understand this beauty of that Lord which is always there, whom you can always depend upon, Shantam. That is Shivam Shantam, Shivam Shantam Jagannatham. That who is the very Lord of the whole universe. Jagataha Nathaha. The one who is the Lord of the universe, meaning whether it is moving or unmoving, Stavara and Jangama, matter or spirit, live or dead, all things are taken care, because the one who has created the universe alone will have the power and the ability and the skill to sustain it as well. Jagannatham. And by being the very Lord whom everybody can support, take support on, he is Loka Anugraha Karakam. He is the one who graces the world by being just there. In your own life also, many times, when there is a person in your own family whom you always can go for help, and you feel that person is a grace to the whole family. If somebody is there, he every time complains, and anytime you go, he only turns you down. Such a person you cannot depend upon that person, and also you are always doubtful, and you will hesitate to go to that person, because every occasion when you went there, he always turned you down. But if there is one who will never turn you down, always compassionate, always considerate, always accommodating your mistakes, is it not that such a person is a grace, a blessing to you? In the same way, the Lord is one who is always graceful to the entire universe. Lokanugraha Karakam. Whether it's an intelligent person goes there, or innocent person goes there, and educated or uneducated, literate or illiterate. There are such great Mahatmas like Bhagavan Shiva, Shankaracharya, and such great scholars. They worshipped Bhagavan Shiva. And at the same time, Kannappa and such other totally illiterate, raw, Prakruta, a tribal man, and he goes and worship the Lord, to such a tribal person also, uneducated person also, illiterate one also, the Lord shows his grace. Huh? That is the beauty of the Lord. He doesn't judge based upon your name, fame, color, position, race, color, religion, education, state, your status, nothing. All that he seeks is, do you have innocence? Do you have that total belief, total faith, and total surrender? And then the Lord will become most compassionate. Lokanugraha karakam Shivamekapadam nityam. Therefore, Ekapadam, one abode. For all of us, it is Shivam. Shivamekapadam nityam. Always nityam. One alone is the final abode for all of us. Nityam Shikaraya Namo Namaha is represented by the letter Shi. That is the verse number 4, right? That's number 4. Now next one we go to Vahanam Vrishabho Yasya Vasukihi Kantabhushanam Vame Shaktidaram Devam Vakaraya Namo Namaha. Vahanam Vrishabho Yasya Vasukihi Kantabhushanam Vame Shaktidaram Devam Vakaraya Namo Namaha. Yasya Vrishabha Vahanam. For whom the Vrishabha, the bull, is the vehicle. Vahati is the vehicle. Vasukihi Kantabhushanam. For him they, Kantabhushanam, the one which is the neck jewel, is the necklace for him is Vasukihi, the serpent. Vame Shaktidaram Devam. One who has Vama, Vamabhage, he has Shakti, the Lord Goddess, as his consort on this side, and such a one. Vakaraya Namo Namaha. To the one who is represented by the letter Va, my salutations. The Vahana Rishabha, Vrishabha is bull, and it is the Vahana of the Lord. As you understand, this Rishabha is the very Rajasic kind of an animal. Very powerful, extremely sturdy, strong, resilient, sustaining. And in the Himalayas, when you travel, you will see them, they, in spite of the cold weather, they graze and they move around. No laziness, nothing. And the people who travel in the Kailash mountains, etc., yaks they are called. He's so huge. And you just sit there and they keep walking. They do not have any tiredness anytime. So Bhagavan Shiva, being a resident of that Kailash area, our rishis have understood, Lord, he residing there, his Vahana should be Vrishabha only. And Rishabha Vahana means the Lord who is sitting on a Rajasic bull, but he is Shant. Which means, what it symbolically means is, our mind is extrovert. In that mind remains the self, the consciousness, which is sattvic. You cannot avoid the mind, because the gunas that are there, as a human being, our most predominant guna will be rajas only. Most of the people. Some people are tamasic all the time, that's a different thing. But the nature of the human mind is extrovertedness. From the time morning you get up till the time you go back to sleep, it is Rajas that is predominant. No doubt we get carried away by the Rajasic mind. But here when we say Vahanam Vrishabo Yasya, for whom the Vrishaba is the Vahana, meaning he is riding over the bull which representing Rajas. Okay. The next one is Vasukihi Kantabhushanam. Snake represent tamas. Why? They live only in darkness, poisonous. Once they eat for days together, they won't come out. And they always remain in the hideouts. They cannot be in the open sun. Dark creatures are always in the dark. They are negative. So Vasukihi, or the serpent representing tamas. The Lord is wearing that in his neck. So Vrishaba representing Rajas on which he is riding. Vasuki representing the tamas on which is there in his as a necklace for him, Kantabhushanam. Vame Shaktidaram. The Sattvic symbolic representative, that Sattva power is there as his own half of the body. Vame Shaktidaram Devam, which means what? He has under his control Rajas in the form of Vrishaba, Tamas in the form of Vasuki in his neck, and Shakti, the Sattvic power, in his as part of his body. And the Lord is therefore controller of all the three gunas. And understand, it is all of them under his control. He is not controlled by that. That is why Mayam tu Prakritim Viddhi, Mayinam tu Maheshwaram. Mayam tu Prakritim. Understand, Prakriti is Maya, Trigunatmika. Mayinam, one who is the controller of this Maya, is Maheshwara. So, that Lord who has all the gunas under his control, and he is Ishvaraha, he is not bound by them. Such is the nature of this Lord. The Lord who is represented by the letter Va, to him, Vakaraya Namo Namaha. Vahanam Vrishabo Yasya Vasukihi Kantabhushanam Vame Shaktidaram Devam Vakaraya Namo Namaha. Next verse, that is verse number 6 here. Yatra yatra sthito devah sarvavyapi maheshwarah yo guru sarvadevanam yakaraya namo namah. Yatra yatra sthito devah sarvavyapi maheshwarah yo guru sarvadevanam yakaraya namo namah. Here Shankaracharya, while composing that, he says, I do not know where that Lord is, really speaking. Wherever he is, yatra yatra sthito devaha, yatra yatra, wherever sthitaha devaha, the Lord, wherever he is. But I know one thing, what? He is sarvavyapi maheshwara. He is all-pervading presence. Sarvavyapi maheshwara. Yaha sarvadevanam guruhu. He who is the guruhu, the teacher, the spiritual teacher of sarvadevanam, of all gods. Yakaraya namo namaha. To that Lord who is represented by the letter Ya, to him my salutations. Very clear that, the form of the Lord which we worship is only a symbolic representation, iconic representation. He represents an ideal. The Lord is idea. When given life, ideal. When it is exemplified, is idol. When not exemplified, it is only idle. A form, when you see, a form of God you see, and if you don't consider that is representing the supreme truth, it is merely an idol. At the maximum, you can worship it as a deity, then become idol. But when you understand that this one represents that supreme truth, which is my own nature, then becomes ideal. Yatra yatra sthito devaha, wherever he is, but I know one thing, what? He is sarvavyapi. Sarvavyapi Maheshwaraha. He is one who pervading everything. That is why Ishavasya Upanishad, first what it say? Ishavasyamidagam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bunjitaha magrutakasya siddhanam. Ishavasyamidagam sarvam, the entire yat kinchit sacharacharam, whatever is there to be understood as none other than pervaded by the Lord himself. Yatra yatra sthito devaha sarvavyapi Maheshwaraha, and that is Yo Guru Sarvadevana. He is the Guru of all the Devatas, because Paramaguru is Mahadeva Shiva. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Paramparam. I salute the whole tradition of Guru, starting from Sadashiva Samarambam. This Aramba beginning is Sadashiva. So he is considered as ultimate Guru. All the people who are seekers of knowledge consider Bhagavan Shiva as the Paramaguru, supreme Guru of all, even for Devatas. Yo Guru Sarva Devanam Yakaraya Namo Namaha, to that Lord who is represented by the letter Ya, to whom I salute. Shadaksharamidam stotram yappadet Shiva sannidau Shivalokam Shivena sahamodate. Shadaksharamidam stotram yappadet Shiva sannidau Shivalokam Shivena sahamodate. Like the previous Panchakshara Stotram also, similarly here, Shadaksharamidam Stotram, Stuti-artham Stotram. For the sake of praising the Lord, it is called Stuti-artham Stotram. Shadaksharam, representing the 6 letters, represented by the 6 letters, Lord Shiva. Yaha Paded, he who studies or recites Shiva Sannidau, in the abode of Lord Shiva. Shivalokam avapnodi, he revels, he obtains the abode of Lord Shiva. Shivena sahamodati, he then